Science has always been in search of the truth, but throughout history, even the greatest scientists have made mistakes. These mistakes have sometimes affected the thinking of humanity for centuries. So, what are the biggest mistakes in the history of science? Today we will talk to you about this very topic. The first big mistake was about the universe. In ancient times, people believed that the Earth was at the center of the universe. This idea was based on the theory of Ptolemy and was accepted for more than 1,000 years. People looking at the night sky saw that the stars and planets were moving, but the Earth seemed to be motionless. Therefore, they said that the Earth was at the center of the universe. However, the discoveries of Copernicus, Galileo, and Kepler showed that this was not true. In fact, the Sun is at the center of the solar system, and the Earth, like the other planets, revolves around it. This mistake lasted for centuries and was only broken. Another interesting mistake was related to combustion. Until the 18th century, scientists believed that every flammable substance contained an invisible substance called phlogiston. During combustion, that substance was released into the air. This theory was used to explain chemistry for many years, but later Lavoisier conducted experiments and showed that oxygen was actually involved in the combustion process. This discovery marked the beginning of modern chemistry, and the phlogiston theory was lost to history. Another interesting mistake in astronomy is related to Mars. In the 19th century, the American astronomer Percival Lowell, while observing Mars with a telescope, thought he saw long lines on its surface. He called these canals and concluded that intelligent beings on Mars had built giant canals to transport water. This idea became so widespread that humanity began to believe telescopes showed that these were just optical illusions. Let us now look at the mistakes made in the history of biology and medicine. The ancient Greek physician Hippocrates and the philosopher Galen said that the human body consists of 4 main fluids: blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm. Human health depends on the balance of these fluids. For thousands of years, doctors believed in this theory and took blood and weakened the body to treat people, but they could not find the real cause of the disease. Although this theory was wrong, it formed the basis of medicine for centuries. Another misconception was related to the origin of life. People thought that living things arose spontaneously from inanimate matter. For example, they explained the appearance of worms on rotting meat as the spontaneous formation of life. However, Louis Pasteur conducted special experiments and proved that life arises only from existing living. For microbiology, and the erroneous theory has been consigned to the pages of history. Even big mistakes were made about the brain. Aristotle thought that the center of thought was not in the brain, but in the heart. The brain simply regulates body temperature. People believed this for thousands of years. However, neurological studies conducted in the following centuries showed that in fact all thought, memory, and feelings are products of the brain. Now let's move on to the mistakes made in physics and technology. In the 19th century, scientists believed that light waves needed a special medium called ether to propagate, because sound waves propagate in air, water waves propagate in water, and light must necessarily propagate in some medium. Therefore, the theory of luminiferous ether was born, but Michelson and Morley conducted experiments and showed that ether does not exist. This result paved the way for Einstein's physics was related to atomic models. Dalton explained the atom as an indivisible particle. Then Thomson said that the atom was like a raisin cake. It contained positively charged matter and negatively charged electrons scattered around it. But Rutherford conducted experiments and showed that at the center of the atom there was a small, very dense nucleus. Later, Bohr showed that the electrons of the atom orbited the nucleus. All of these models were wrong, but each one helped us get one step closer to the truth. There were even misconceptions about black holes. Some scientists, including Einstein, believed that black holes did not exist in reality, but were simply the result of mathematical theories. However, subsequent observations, gravitational waves, and telescope images showed that black holes are among the most real and powerful. One thing: science grows with mistakes. Every wrong theory, every failed explanation paves the way for more correct knowledge in the future. If Copernicus had not opposed Ptolemy, if Lavoisier had not refuted phlogiston, if Pasteur had not conducted his experiments, science would not be at the level it is today. Science is not afraid of mistakes, because every mistake is the beginning of a new discovery. Therefore, we should not be afraid of mistakes when learning and discovering, because sometimes the biggest mistake is the path that leads us to the greatest truth. Friends, what other interesting mistakes do you think have been made in the history of science? Don't forget to write in the comments. If you liked the video, subscribe to the Science Legends channel and let's explore the wonderful world of science.